Pivot Walnut.
Nyake.
Janet.
Oh,
Stongo Oskan Yacha. Hanapi.
Guna.
Madawaka.
Halito.
Sio.
Ansti Hunterish.
Stongo. Oh, wait. Kikadoose. That's what I meant to say. Kikadoose.
I got us all out of order.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I can't even see the screen, so I can't even tell if they're in order. Did we leave any out? Yatte.
I think that was it. I think we got them all.
Hanapi. Miigwich.
Yeah, you usually have a few extra.
Yeah, I'm all extra. Good morning. Coming live from 1950, South Shepherd.
Good morning. We're here. We're live.
How was your weekend, Tatum?
My weekend was eventful. Like those storms, man.
Do you get out of sorts whenever all the sirens and the tornado warnings and all that? Does that get you flustered?
So I try to not let it affect me in front of my kid, in front of my child. I want to let her know that I'm okay so that she's okay.
Yeah.
I have talked about this. I don't know if I've talked about it on here before, but like a traumatic experience for me as a child was like, the sirens are going off, it's pouring down rain and hail, and my mom's just like in the passenger seat of my dad's truck or my stepdad's truck, and she's just like screaming at the top of her lungs. Like I saw her fear, so I was scared, Like I'm like, girl, you really didn't have to do all of that. Like that was so extra. But I mean, that's how she felt, those were her feelings at the time. So I just really try to keep my composure for my daughter and just get us to safety, wherever
Do you have like a plan already, or you just kind of
go with it? Like we usually go to my mom. She has a storm shelter.
Okay.
So we can sit in her house until it gets, to that point. I won't get down in there if I don't have to. So
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I completely get that. My mom and I grew up in an Indian home in Thomas, Oklahoma, where there was no, and we didn't even have a car. So more than likely, we weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
You just kind of learn to get in the bathtub. Like that was it. But even then, um, we probably did that maybe 2 or 3 times. Like so. Then I don't know. Like when you live out in a little country town, it's like the lights will always go off whenever there's a storm. Like always, and you just kind of get used to. Like I think that kind of helped us. Maybe not as far as like they would turn on the radio or you know, but even then it was probably plugged in. Like so more than likely, we'd get a phone call and my aunt would be telling us, like kind of directing traffic. But if need be, I know my aunt Carol would come and get us and take us to the storm cellar. But 98% of the time, none of that ever happened. But I also had a grandma, my grandma Minnie. We always knew, like the whole, our community knew that she was scared of storms. So it was nothing new to us for her to come over and sleep on the couch if it was going to storm that night. So I mean, I've seen it on, I guess, on both sides. I can't imagine. I was always taught, you're not supposed to be scared of them. And, so that's kind of how I've always thought about it. But then a few years back, when there was a 3 mile wide tornado going down I-40, and hearing some of the stories, knowing a guy that was in that, like he got sucked out of the car. It sucked the change out of his pockets, sucked his all of his clothes. Yeah. So whenever they found him, he was completely naked. Oh my god! And got sucked out of sucked out of a truck and set on the ground, and then the truck with his father-in-law got thrown.
Really?
Yeah, like during all that. So I mean, like once I seen how big that storm was,
Mhm.
and I had kids, like it made me scared for them.
Yeah.
As far as me, like I'm unless I can see it coming,
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Mhm.
But I try not to get, because man, you'll see people flying through stoplights, and like I don't know. I understand, when people are scared, but I mean, I was always taught, that fear is like a sickness.
Yeah.
It can be spread, just like you were saying. You keep your calm,
Mhm.
so Josie keeps her calm.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty eventful around Oklahoma. If you're not very familiar, this is Tornado Central.
Yeah.
And it's I when I think about Oklahoma, I think about whenever that couple was proposing, and there's a tornado in the background. Like I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like I want to see it. And so yeah, I get it. I get it. I understand. Do we have any comments, Mr. Patrick? Or
Yeah.
yeah, just pull the mic close to you. Yeah.
Ruth Bearshield said we were outside on the porch at midnight and sirens were blaring and she was filming the whole thing.
Yeah. That's Oklahoma for you right there. Good morning, Ruth.
Oh, guess who it is? You want to read it?
Dana said good. Hello, Dad.
Hi, baby. Hi, baby. And that's another thing is, like, whenever I know it's gonna storm, then I don't get to get my kids. Because whatever. I mean, I understand her aunt and maybe her grandma are just being safe. And so that's another thing about when storms come. When I know there's gonna be a storm that day, like I just know not to even ask if they can come over.
Really?
Because there's going to be a storm and I need them to be home.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But good morning, baby. Good morning.
Tobias said good morning, y'all.
Good morning, Toby.
Morning. Yeah, that whenever that storm happened and we were at the Omni, um, Josie acted like, "Oh, I hope that happens again tomorrow." Like she was all happy about it, because she was headed to the hotel
Yeah.
to see me. And then this one on Friday that happened, she had her first like panic attack. And I can remember being a little girl and I was just sitting in the closet, like in the middle of my house. I lived out by the movie theaters here in El Reno, and can just remember sitting there and just shaking and chattering and like my teeth chattering. Like I'm not kidding.
Wow.
That is how fearful I was as a child. And to see that happen in my daughter too, like it really sucked. It was really hard for me to watch, but I just kept reassuring her that she was safe, she was going to be okay. I'm sure my mom was like, "Hey, be quiet in there."
Something to cry about.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's just the generational difference that we see nowadays. But my mom also helped me now today, or on Friday, comforting her too. And she was like, "Come here, you need Grandma's, lovin's and all that." And so, but yes, it's storm season. It's just
Yeah,
crazy.
you got to
Pack
be
your
weather
bags.
aware.
Yeah, pack
Weather
your emergency
aware.
bag.
Have a plan.
Right.
Don't put yourself, in them situations where not only are you putting yourself in danger, but other people as well.
Mhm.
Because you see that a lot. Like when the tornado sirens are going off, people are just driving crazy. Like I don't. I mean, I get it. But like I seen somebody just ripping across town, and whenever I got to ask them, like like what was the big? I had to go get my dog.
Nope.
And it's just like, oh man, like I get it, I do get it,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I mean, like I just think about how many lives were in danger, And this is when I'm in my addiction. I'm still thinking like, what the hell is this guy's problem? Like,
Yeah. Stay calm.
yeah,
Like,
cool, calm, and collective.
keep your peace.
But yeah. So my weekend,
Tell me about your weekend.
I got to go with Nat. It was the Muskogee Creek Nations. They had their pageant for their Miss Creek Nation, and then Junior Miss. So this is the cool thing about that is you remember Johnny Powell, and then his wife did Daughters of Tradition. Gina Powell, I think. Okay, their daughter was running, and then Nat's daughter Ahology was running, and they both won. Ahology got she's Miss Creek Nation, and then Mia Powell is Junior Miss.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. See two well Bridie families. That was pretty cool. And we had to go to Okmulgee, which I used to live there back in the day. I went to 8th grade there,
Okay.
so I kind of familiar with that trip. Got to reminisce a little bit about my crazy. That was the beginning. Yeah, that was the
8th
beginning.
grade, yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
So, it was cool though. So, congratulations to Ahology Deer and Mia Powell. I know they're gonna do good. They're I like the way that they, they're familiar with the language.
Mhm.
Ahology, Nat's her mom, so of course, she's probably her mom and dad. They're both, as far as I know, fluent.
Okay.
And then I heard Mia, she did her presentation in Muskogee.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. So it was a good weekend.
That's awesome.
And then the Thunder won, so I mean,
What more could you ask
yeah,
for?
what more could you want? So yeah, it was good. It was nice. I like seeing young people take a chance and then have positive results.
Mhm.
Even if they're negative. Like at least you got out there and so congratulations to all the contestants because it takes a lot.
Mhm.
You
Lot of
know,
courage.
yeah, a lot of courage. I couldn't have done that at that age. I can barely do this today. But yeah, do we have any more comments, Patrick?
Misty said good morning.
Good morning, Miss
Good
Hickson.
morning. Kelly said good morning, y'all.
Good morning, Kel.
Ray said good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
everyone.
Glad everybody could tune in. So yeah, good weekend. Only thing that sucked is my AC is messing up.
Oh no.
It's like the third weekend in a row. Like it'll be good until like Friday evening. Then the maintenance man ain't gonna come till today. Like this the third weekend in a row.
He just takes off on the weekends or what?
Well, they all live on site, but they don't come until I don't get it. I don't get it either.
Man.
Then my ceiling had a leak in it. Like it was, yeah. Like I could complain all day, but I mean, at the same time, I'm pretty grateful. That I even have the problem.
Yeah.
I remember a time when I didn't. Sweating it out with no electricity. Yeah.
Right.
In my addiction, I thought about like, man, we would go sit in this shed. It'd be over 100 degrees, and we would shut the door, no breeze. Just in there for hours, like being weirdos.
Yeah, I can remember like just drinking at the lake or like out in the sun all day.
All day long.
No sunscreen, no nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just a lobster.
Loving
when I
it.
Go inside.
Like you're having the time of your life.
Yeah. Gosh. I know last week was like so busy, with the dance
Yeah.
and the football game and everything.
I
like
forgot all about
that.
that. I forgot to mention that.
We had a busy week last week, and then we were in Oklahoma City for Monday evening through Wednesday for a training. We can now we can teach a Narcan training. So
Yes.
that's pretty
We can
cool.
come to your community and we can facilitate a training and maybe just give some details. I mean, for the most part, most people know what Narcan is,
Mhm.
but I mean, I think we could maybe educate. I think me and Darian has an opportunity coming up pretty soon.
Really?
Yeah, with the Delawares down there in Dodge. So it's to me, it's always about the exposure.
Mhm.
Like maybe they don't know. Maybe we can just maybe familiarize, the conversation about what it is to administer Narcan, or even just have it around. Like when people see it, they automatically think, "Is somebody gonna die?" Or like I don't know. It saves lives. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That's all that I know, and I would hate to see what this world would be like without it.
I agree.
So
But the weekend was just
yeah,
the week was so busy, and it was Friday night, and we were laying down to go to sleep, me and Josie, in my apartment. It looks like a tornado went through it, because like we weren't there for for most of the week, and I just desperately needed to do some like housework and cleaning and laundry and all the things.
all the things.
So we lay down, and I said, "Man," I looked at Josie. I said, "This place is a wreck." She said, "Hey, at least we have a roof over our head, a comfy bed, food in our bellies." I was like, "That's right." So like for her to recognize that, because I'm a big, like, I will always say the dishes can wait. The laundry can wait.
Yeah.
If that means you're prioritizing your peace, do the dishes tomorrow. It's fine. They're still gonna be there. Get some rest.
If anything, there's gonna be more, but
Yeah. It's fine. So, you want to read that?
Well,
you want to read some more comments, and then we'll jump into the meditation.
Jerry said, "Good morning, people. Thought I'd like to chime in. Haven't been able to catch you live in a while."
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning.
Dorothy said, "Good morning, warriors."
Good morning, Dorothy.
And Natalie said, "I was just praying this morning about how much the problems I have now are nowhere near the problems I used to have. I still prayed and was thankful for the Creator and having grace and mercy for me still today, even during my hardships." Melon
Thank
said,
you, Nat.
"Good morning, Indians. Blessings,
Good morning.
blessings."
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. I stayed up kind of late last night. I watched this movie on Netflix called Straw. And I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not like the emotional movie, like I like true stories. That's kind of my thing. I like documentaries. I like, like that's my jam, right? So I started watching Straw, and is Desi in here? Because I ain't trying to ruin the movie. All right.
She just
Nothing. But well, I ain't gonna talk about what happened. I'm just gonna talk about like the emotions that kind of were running through my there was one point where I started thinking about, how this mother was feeling, and I could relate to all of those feelings that she was feeling. Like being a single parent, being not knowing what to do, not having any support, kind of lost and just trying to make it work. I remember being that parent.
Yeah.
But I went, I went completely, I went the wrong way. I made the wrong choices. And I just remember, my daughter posted something, and I just seen it like last night. about her not knowing what love is. The right kind of love.
Hmm.
And I felt, like I in my head when I read it, I thought, man, that is so true, and that's horrible that my daughter, can say those things.
Yeah.
But then the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, well, she's a parent today. Like, is that generational trauma going to keep going?
Hmm.
Like is it going to stop because I got sober? Like just because I got sober, does that mean that, like what does that look like for her? How is my sobriety going to affect my granddaughter? So like some things were like definitely, churning, like I'm beating myself up about some things on one end, but then I'm like, hey, like she's seen what my struggles were. And I pray every day that she doesn't take her daughter down that same path. And not use the excuse, well, my parents did it. So I mean, like just watching that movie, like it definitely got me. Like just had me all into it.
All in your feels now.
Yeah, all in my feels.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah,
Definitely, if
it's
it's
a good one.
about a single mom, I feel like
Yeah,
I can already resonate with that, and I haven't even seen it yet. But
yeah, for sure.
whenever you said like you went the wrong way, like sometimes people have to get lost in order to be found.
Yeah, and
That's how I look at it.
I think about that all the time. Like I feel like I was so hard headed that I had to be shown all the bad things before I could realize what was good. Like even though I took advantage of it, even though like you think your grandma's always gonna be there, or like my dad, or like all these people that I overlooked, because you never think that you're ever gonna go without these people.
Right.
So I mean, just a lot of things come to mind whenever I think about it in that sense. But yeah, that was. I'm not gonna say what happened, but I
Yeah,
can
don't
definitely
spoil it.
relate to that movie.
And it's a movie. Is it
Yeah,
on Netflix?
yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Let's get into it.
gone.
It's June 9th, so we are in spring. Every part of this country is sacred to my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some fond memory or some sad experience of my tribe. Even the rocks, which seem to lie dumb as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, in solemn grandeur, thrill with the memories of past events connected with the fate of my people. Chief Seattle Suquamish.
Yes.
Native people say the earth is sacred. Some places on earth will feel more sacred than others. You can often feel the sacredness of these places because of what has happened on them. If you do a ceremony on a certain place and return later, whatever happened before will still be there to help you. Even if someone you didn't know did something on earth and you come along later, the powers will be there to help you. This is why the earth is sacred, and these spiritual places are sacred spots. My Creator, let the powers of the sacred places help the people today. Mm. What is that saying to your soul? What do you got?
To my soul. Wow. That's thank you, Miss S. Scott, for reading that. When it talks about how my ancestors would view the world, how they would learn from Mother Earth. I heard something that kind of sparked this, and I wondered why it was sticking with me. You know, uh, it was like they were saying something like some religious people, the things that they believe in, the way that they follow, not saying anything bad or having, holding something against these people, but, they said they have to go look inside a book. They have to read scripture. They got to, it was written by man, and my ancestors, that's how they viewed the world. That's how they looked at Mother Earth and everything that she provided. It was written in the rocks. They could see it in the stones. They could read it in the river. Like all these things that Mother Earth was providing. And it was through the sun. And they understood like those were our teachers. The natural law. And understanding how the unseen world was interconnected to all of these things. They understood how the creator was connected with Mother Earth, and they seen that everything that she provided. You know, when it say like a little sapling's coming up and something's in its way, and stopping it from growing, and the things that this little sapling has to do to keep going, to survive, to do what it has to do to overcome all these obstacles. Like those were the natural teachers of my ancestors. And my people have been dying here for thousands and thousands of years, fighting for our way of life. From my understanding, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. That's only the beginning of what my people had to endure for me to be here today, and for me to have a way to live my life. And build that connection with the Creator. It comes from natural law. Understanding that balance. And trying to understand like how I can how I can be closer to God. It it definitely comes with trial and error. And will I ever get it right? I doubt it. But it's just a simple fact that the Creator allows me to want to know these things and want to learn these things. My mind is open, and I'm still teachable. I still remain a student, and I still want to learn. And the more and more I understand about Wellbriety, the closer it makes me feel to God. And not saying like Wellbriety is like a religion. Not at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's helped guiding me through these thought processes that I used to have trouble with. I did I ever think that I'd be sitting here saying Mother Earth is the perfect teacher and the only teacher that we need?
Right.
Like I never would have thought that my thought process would have evolved to think of something besides myself. So I don't have nothing against anybody's religion. I don't have, but it just helped me after reading that this morning. It helped me understand why these things are sticking with me. Why do they make so much sense to me today? And how can I improve, how I look at Mother Earth? And why is that so out of balance? Why do I always want to take, and take what she has to offer, but I'm never giving anything back? Like how can I be a better person, when it comes to showing Mother Earth the respect that she deserves? And I feel like I do that. I'm stepping in the right direction when I acknowledge the Creator, Mahio, and allow him to plant these seeds of growth, plant these seeds of prayer, and I think about my prayer life, and I think about the ceremonies that I get to take part in today,
Mhm.
and it all has to do with what my people used to do. What we're still doing today. What little bit that we're trying to hold on to. I feel like it's because of the ties that my people have to where we live today. So yeah, that's what I look at.
Thank you. Thank you for the words. You want to read some of these comments?
Yes.
Um, David said, "Good morning." Natalie said, "It's a Tyler Perry movie. If that helps you with the context."
Yeah.
I said, "Good words."
Aho, aho.
Thank you.
Oh.
Good morning, everyone.
Saw the comments.
At first, when I read this, well, I actually accidentally read June 8th, which was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful one. Like, I
Mhm.
might just go back and read it tomorrow just because. But thinking about this, it says, as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, in the solemn grandeur thrill with the memories of past events connected with the fate of my people. Past events connected with the fate of my people. And to me, that says that we have to get reconnected. You know what I mean? In order to save whatever's left
Mhm.
for us. Um, I know that throughout my addiction, I became so disconnected with anything that was real. Anything that was reality was distorted in so many different ways, um, based on what I thought. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not anything that was real or anything that was of any value, to be completely honest. Like, whatever
Yeah.
I had.
Self-seeking motives.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just feel like what you said, being open to learning and everything. That's part of my prayers, to just always keep an open heart and an open mind. And you never know what you might reconnect with, or what you might learn about the earth and the natural laws that can help to guide you
Yes.
on this journey. I'm thinking about the sun. Why is the sun helps the plants grow? The sun helps our body, whenever we need vitamin D
Vitamin D.
from
Yep.
the sun. Um, the water is good for many things. So everything plays a certain special part, and it's more than just things that we need. It's what keeps us going. So that's what I
Yeah.
have.
I like that. I like what you said. You know, I when I think about Mother Earth, I always think about that balance and how out of balance we are.
Yeah.
Like I said, we always want, and we're never willing to put anything back. And I'm glad I am where I am today, but I remember a time when I was like the worst. Just I didn't know what a trash can was. I had no idea. And you just I'm glad I came to that realization today. But I mean, it took a good 40 years of childhood,
Mhm.
to recognize those things. Like they say, the first 40 years of childhood are pretty rough. So yeah, I learned the hard way.
There are so many ways that you can take care of our earth. So I challenge you this week to stop being a litter bug and just find a trash can. It's not that difficult. And just take care of our earth.
Yeah, cigarette butts, all that.
Yeah, but take care of your cigarette butt.
I remember to clean out my ashtray, I'd get all the roaches out, and then I would dump that just wherever I was at. It didn't even matter. Like someone's parking lot. I mean, just man, yeah, I was that guy.
Mhm.
I would clean out my car and just leave my trash. I just open up my door and set my trash down and drive off.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like self-preservation, like anything to make me feel better, like nobody else mattered. Yeah,
So,
very selfish. I was a very selfish person. But
mhm,
I'm glad I'm able to recognize that today.
right.
So, do
Uh,
we have any more
Good
comments?
morning, Charlene.
Good morning,
She
Charlene.
says she's in Arapahoe, what, Wyoming?
Oh yeah. Everybody went up north.
Okay.
Everybody went up north.
Chief Willie
Willie,
began
Chief
his
Willie.
journey on yesterday from
Oh
Idaho.
man, yeah, man. Chief was such a good guy. At one time he arrested me. He used to be the chief of the BIA.
Okay.
But when that kind of, I don't know, how that happened. But then the next time I seen him, he was like all crazy. Like he was funny. I mean, he was a good guy, man. Chief Willie was, and he was a fighter, man. Like, like most people, they get sick, and man, he would just keep going and going and going. Like, but I'm, I pray for his family. I have nothing but good thoughts about the brother Chief Willie, and if you could, keep his family in your prayers. I mean, he, I just love his name.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a name, Chief. And then I pray for his kids. Whenever he took me to court one time, and I want to say his oldest daughter, they were at the courthouse with him. And I remember it's funny because I remember, his her mother, you know, uh I always just think about how she didn't know me. Because I was in a jumpsuit and I had on handcuffs. And I'm just kind of like just sitting there, and she's like acting like I'm gonna jump up and kidnap her, and like I did not know her at all. And I'm just like, I still think about that today. But I hope my brother found some peace. He was a good guy, and he struggled. He struggled like a lot of us do, and I just pray that he finds peace. You know, finds a peace that a lot of us struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, prayers go out to the Willie family.
Yes. Laura Candy says, "Good morning, family. The
If it
rain
wouldn't,
was a good blessing. The rain is always nice."
yeah, yes. I remember I used to get so mad when it would rain because I walked everywhere,
Yeah.
and I when I thought I was a drug dealer, and I hated getting in cars because that just felt like a setup. Always felt like a setup.
If you were in there, you were trapped. And there's no
Yeah,
way
yeah.
out. Like, what?
Like so, I'd be mad because it would be raining. But now that I've gotten sober, I'm like, of course, self-preservation. I was just worried about me. I'm that selfish guy, that I'm self-centered. And today, I think about everything else that needs that rain. Everything else from the bugs all the way to the birds. Everything else that needs that rain. And, how dare me be mad, you know, all the animals, all the plant life. For some reason, I thought I was more important than that.
Or you had any kind of control over.
Yeah. Like
The rain.
the rain. Now I love it.
Yeah.
You know, uh,
Cool.
nothing grows without the rain. Well, do we have anything this week? Tomorrow we are going to Second Chance. That scared the hell out of me. I don't know what Desiree's doing over there, but so they're slamming stuff around. So tomorrow we're going to what is it? Second Chance?
Yes.
Second Chance Thrift Store at 23rd and MacArthur.
Yes.
Going over there, they will be doing STI, syphilis, and AIDS testing. You know, once again, those two diseases are on the rise, and more importantly, is that it is definitely affecting Native communities. You know, so we're trying to help out in that sense, that maybe we can bring more awareness to safe sex and safe sex practices. And yeah, so we'll be up there tomorrow from 10 to 2. They, you know, come on out, come get tested. We'll be giving out some harm reduction supplies, and I believe they'll have showers, possibly laundry, possibly laundry machines. So I think it's a great ideal, a great resource, and we don't ever want to forget about our unhoused community.
Absolutely.
So I enjoy that. I enjoy doing that. I like just maybe making that connection and treating them like people.
Yeah.
I think they get forgot about a lot. So we don't really get to go to the city as much as we would like, and I think it's just another opportunity for us to expand our services. So then tomorrow night, Mingo is doing. It is men, men's health month, mental health month. So Mingo is doing yoga for men from 6:30 to 7 at
Is that here?
here
Here.
at 1950 South Shepherd. So for men, come get stretched out by Mingo.
Yeah. We got another good question from
Okay.
Rain. Good morning, beautiful natives. I love that you guys are talking about Mother Earth. How would you all describe your sobriety with nature? Would you describe it as a thunderstorm, a heat wave, snowstorm, plants, rivers, or etc.?
I think I said it a while ago. Nothing grows without the rain. Like after that storm passes, like kind of like I've heard, and I don't know if this, but I've heard that when a tornado comes through, that a bunch of butterflies show up after that.
What?
That's what I heard. Like whenever a tornado touches the ground and it goes, I heard a bunch of butterflies show up because it's pulling from the ground, and for some reason it smells sweet,
Okay.
so it attracts butterflies.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean I'm probably gonna Google it after this, but
Just a fact check.
yeah, but I mean, just for somebody to even mention that, like Summer, Johnny and Penelope's mom always used to say that nothing grows without the rain.
I don't think that there's any more perfect way to put it. You gotta. Yeah, there's just no one word for this recovery journey that I've been on over the past 2 years now. August will be here before we know it, and I'll have 3 years, but I still feel like it's just a daily thing. It's a daily thing. It's willingness to learn. I would say probably a snowstorm. It's a little uncomfortable sometimes. But overall it's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about the snow. So,
Find the calm. You know, when I think about snow, I think about how everything's still. You know, nothing's really moving.
yeah.
You know, everything's still. You know, traffic, everything. Like you can hear the quiet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about snow, that's what I think about is how quiet everything is.
Yeah, and I have to practice like stillness and quietness every day
Yeah,
in order to keep my peace, you know.
it'd probably help me if I would at least think about it.
Yeah. Just like 5 minutes in the morning of like just deep breathing and stillness, and it's crazy what that can do for you, you know, your mind
sure.
and your body. So but that is all I have for
Yeah, that's all I
today,
got.
this week, I think. Oh, we have a daddy-daughter event this Saturday here at 1950 South Shepherd. Our teens class, or our teens group, is pretty full. I think we might have a few more spots for that. But
Yeah, check in.
I wish I had the flyer to post. We have room in our Tiny Tots group and also our tweens group. We'll be talking about hygiene with your face, your hair, your body, some self-care. We have door prizes to give away for dads and daughters. We will be serving a meal, so if you would like more information on that, reach out to me. And
So that's it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for your comments. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. We appreciate everybody able to interact with us. You know, I always look forward to this. You know, I don't know. I just enjoy talking to a screen. You know, like, but you know, I look forward to this every day. And I love making it a part of my day. So, you know, thank you for reminding me this morning.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's just I like how Patrick, you know, he's our producer, he's our youth worker. You know, he's not afraid to get up there and you know, do what he's got to do. So it's hope everybody has a great day. Hope everybody finds some quiet time. Hope everybody stayed safe this weekend, and we will see you soon. So.
Stop!